Welcome back to Horror Real Stories. Tonight's experience comes from Adam, a listener who grew up in a 5-story apartment building in Jackson Heights, Queens, New York. His life was simple, just him, his father, and his elderly grandfather. Adam's mother had passed away when he was very young, so there was no woman in the house. Father and son cooked together, cleaned together, and handled every part of daily life. His grandfather, however, was the center of everything. The old man was extremely weak. He could barely walk without a cane, and even then, every step looked painful. His memory came and went. Sometimes he forgot simple things, sometimes he repeated the same question again and again, and sometimes he became irritated for reasons no one understood. But despite all that, Adam and his father took care of him with patience. The grandfather had one nightly habit. He needed his roll-up tobacco before sleeping. If he didn't get it, he became restless, angry, and unsettled. One night around 11 p.m., Adam's father left for his night shift. Adam was only 14 at the time. As soon as the door closed behind his father, his grandfather called him over and asked for his tobacco. But the pack was empty. Adam didn't want to go out alone that late, and he said gently, "Grandpa, I'll get it tomorrow morning." The old man didn't like that. He complained, grumbled, showed his irritation, but eventually lay down on his bed. The apartment grew quiet. Somewhere in the silence, Adam fell asleep. Hours passed. Around 3:30 a.m., he suddenly woke up. There was no noise, just a strange heaviness in the room. He looked toward his grandfather's bed and froze. The bed was empty. His grandfather, who couldn't walk without help, was gone. The blanket was there, the pillow was there, but the old man was nowhere. Adam's heart pounded in his chest. He checked the bathroom, empty. The kitchen, empty. The living room, empty. Every corner of that tiny apartment, empty. Fear took over. He ran outside into the hallway and began searching the whole building. The 5th floor, the 4th, the 3rd, down the stairs, checking every hallway, every shadow, every corner. Nothing. No sign of the old man. How could someone who could barely stand vanish from a locked apartment? Terrified and confused, Adam returned upstairs. He noticed something that made him stop. The apartment door was locked from the inside. His shaking hands unlocked it. He pushed the door open, and his entire body turned cold. His grandfather was lying in his bed, sleeping peacefully, breathing normally, as if he had never moved at all. Adam rushed to him, shaking him. "Grandpa, where did you go? I searched everywhere." The old man opened his eyes, irritated. "What are you talking about? I was sleeping right here. Leave me alone." His voice was normal. His expression was natural, not confused at all. So who or what had disappeared from that bed at 3:30 a.m.? Adam couldn't sleep anymore. The apartment felt heavy, wrong, suffocating. Around 5 a.m., he went up to the rooftop to clear his head. The sky was still dark, that quiet moment before sunrise. Across from his building stood another apartment complex, very close. On the rooftop of that building was an old broken bed that had been sitting there for years. Adam stared at it without thinking, until his stomach dropped. Someone was sitting on that bed. A figure, still, silent. As the dawn light slowly brightened, the shape became clearer. It was his grandfather, sitting perfectly straight, facing his direction, not moving, just staring. Adam felt his entire body go numb. His legs trembled, his breath caught in his throat, because his real grandfather, the physical one, was still sleeping in the locked apartment. He ran, down the stairs, out of the building, all the way to a nearby mosque where people were gathering for early morning prayer. He slipped inside and sat alone in the back, shaking, trying to understand what he had witnessed. Later that morning, he returned home with his father. His dad unlocked the door, and there his grandfather was, still sleeping peacefully. 3 years later, his grandfather passed away, but Adam says he still sees him in his dreams, sometimes sitting on that broken rooftop bed, sometimes standing in the corner of his room, sometimes watching silently from the doorway. And that night remains the most terrifying moment of his life. Welcome back to Horror Real Stories. Tonight's second experience comes from a family living in Paterson, New Jersey, a place where immigrant communities live close together and where jealousy sometimes hides behind a friendly smile. This story was shared by someone who watched a girl's entire life crumble under black magic, spiritual attacks, and jinn activity that lasted for decades. Everything you're about to hear is exactly as the family experienced it, only adapted into American surroundings. Put on your headphones and listen carefully. Here is her story. Her name was Sarah. She was in 9th grade when marriage proposals began arriving from different families, relatives, family friends, people from the community. But her parents rejected all of them. They said none of the proposals were good enough for their daughter. They believed they were protecting her. But jealousy breeds darkness. People began to say things, whisper things, and eventually some individuals went beyond gossip. They turned to black magic. According to Sarah's family, several people, both relatives and outsiders, performed dark rituals against her. Things buried in the ground, things tied with knots, words whispered at night, and slowly she began to change. At first, it was subtle. She would talk less, sit alone, stare off into the distance. Then the symptoms grew. She began laughing at nothing, crying without reason, talking to walls as if someone stood there. Some nights, she couldn't sleep at all. Her hair began falling out in handfuls. She lost weight. Her eyes looked empty. Her parents panicked. They took her to doctors. Nothing wrong. Then psychiatrists. Again, nothing concrete. Finally, they turned to spiritual healers and imams who specialized in ruqya. Almost all of them said the same thing. She was under heavy black magic. Jinn were involved, and someone had done strong, layered spiritual attacks on her. And then, the real horrors began. One night, her parents opened the bedroom door and froze. A long, thick snake was curled up on her bed, right beside her sleeping body. They screamed, but when they turned on the lights, the snake vanished. Another night, a massive black cat sat at the foot of her bed, staring at her with glowing eyes. When they tried to chase it, it disappeared. Sometimes, a large black crow sat outside her window, tapping on the glass with its beak in the middle of the night. Other nights, the entire room filled with the scent of flowers like a beautiful garden. And then,
Seconds later, the smell changed into something rotten, decayed, unbearable. Good and bad, fragrance and death, beauty and horror, all in the same room. Sarah's mind was unraveling. Her body grew weaker. She acted like someone who no longer knew who she was. She would scream randomly, laugh at shadows, talk to people no one else could see. Sometimes she didn't even recognize her own parents. Her family tried everything, every healer, every reciter, every method, but the damage had already taken root. The pressure became unbearable. Her parents thought maybe marriage would save her. Maybe a new life would heal her. They arranged a marriage with a family from a nearby community. The groom's family sent the traditional pre-wedding gifts, clothes, jewelry, and household items. But when Sarah's family opened the main wedding dress, their blood ran cold. A large piece of the fabric had been cut out, deliberately. Inside the gift bag, mixed with the jewelry, they found items used in South Asian occult rituals, powders, symbols, objects associated with black magic. These were not accidents. Someone wanted to ruin her. A fight broke out between the families. Accusations flew everywhere. Voices rose. Relationships shattered. The marriage was canceled. The connection was broken forever. A month later, Sarah disappeared. One morning, she was simply gone. No note, no explanation, no idea where she went. Her parents searched everywhere: hospitals, police stations, relatives, friends. Nothing. Days turned into months, months into years. Eventually, they found what happened. Sarah had wandered away in her broken mental state and ended up in another state, living with a different family. Later, she married someone else and had 5 children, 3 daughters and 2 sons. But her suffering did not end. Her children grew up with severe developmental issues. None of them were fully normal. None lived peaceful lives. Every house they lived in shook with strange noises, footsteps, knocking, whispers, scratching on the